everybody, I'm Sarah and I'm a recorder player. I actually already filmed this video once today, but the sound didn't work, so I have to do it all again. Let's do this. You've got a piece of music. Where do you breathe? If it's not already written in, it can be difficult to know where you should be breathing. We want to be breathing in a way that's not going to upset the natural flow of the music. But how do you know where that is? Your best friend when knowing where to breathe in the music is phrasing. A phrase is a musical sentence, and ideally we want to be breathing between the phrases so that we're not breaking them up. The first thing to look out for in your music are rests. Phrases are sometimes separated by rests, and in any case, a rest is a great place to snatch a breath. Quite logical, really. I mean, oh yeah, I'm going to be using all examples from the Telemann Fantasias. Fantasia number 8 begins with phrases separated by rests. Rest. Rest. You don't have to breathe in every rest, especially if there are a lot of them. But that kind of breathing can be useful, we'll get into that later. If there aren't obvious rests, how do we know where the phrases are? I first want to touch on the fact that a phrase is a musical sentence. When you are speaking, you automatically breathe in the right places at the end of your sentences without really thinking about it. And I'm going to help you develop this same intuition with your recorder playing / other wind instrument. Hi, other wind instrumentalists. Handy, a lot of Western classical music is arranged in phrases of 4 or 8 bars. So try getting your piece of music, counting 4 bars. Does that look like a complete phrase? Maybe 8 bars? Phrases can end in different ways. They might end with a longer note, kind of drawing it to a close, like in Fantasia number 5, the Allegro. Your phrase might repeat, and then just before the repetition starts is a good place to breathe. Like in Fantasia 12, the Presto. Notice I'm not creating extra time, but I'm snatching a breath by making that note a little bit shorter. Sometimes you can recognise musical phrases because they're really different themes next to one another. Like in Fantasia 10, the Presto, we get these different ideas alternating. It's worth noting that phrases aren't always neatly within the bar lines. Don't forget about the upbeats because we don't want to break those up either. For example, Fantasia number 10, it has a lot of upbeats that are actually 3 notes long. If we breathe on the bar lines, then we get doubt, sing your phrase through, and often you'll end up breathing naturally in the right places. You don't have to sing it perfectly, just la la la, da 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 da. Great! But what if your music still has nowhere for you to breathe? No rests? That definitely happens depending on the composer. If you play a piece by Handel, he was an oboe player, so he wrote lots of nice places for us to breathe. If you play a piece by Bach, he was a keyboard player. There's nowhere to breathe. First thing you could try is shortening a longer note to give you time to snatch a breath. I'm going to do quite an extreme example to give a few different ideas. Now I snatched a breath at every available opportunity and I felt like Obviously not the idea. Sometimes it can help to take a series of short snatched breaths in order to top up your air. This is especially good in a piece with long sections where just one breath isn't going to cut it. I'll give you an example from Fantasia 1. So in slow motion I did do. These snatching breaths enable you to breathe without breaking up the rhythm, but sometimes it can be okay to take time, especially if you're playing an unaccompanied piece. Fantasia 2, let's create a little bit of time and release of tension between the phrases. Of course, if you take all of this time between every phrase, the music is never really going to get going. But make your own combination of snatching breaths and taking time in a way that you think sounds nice. How do you know if it sounds nice? Record yourself and listen back. There's no right or wrong, and of course it should be done with taste and moderation. Oh yeah, there's a couple of more creative solutions. If you're playing in an ensemble and sharing your line with other people, you can share breaths. So if you have long notes, you can breathe in the middle of the note and the other person keeps it going. If you alternate your breaths in this way, you give the impression that the sound is always continuing. Try and do this as subtly as possible, so we don't want... You can take your time, and if I want to be really subtle, I do something illegal and I breathe through my nose. The last resort is of course circular breathing. However, this can't really be combined with articulation, and for me that rules out a lot of repertoire, so I thought I'd just mention it. Let's go through some rules of thumb. You want to avoid breaking up your phrases as much as possible. You must not break up an upbeat or a cadence. Also, if you have a tied note, that's really important from the harmony. You'll probably have a tied note with a chord and then a clash and then it resolves. So you don't want to break it up while that's happening, because then you'll lose that amazing harmonic effect. So don't breathe straight after the tied note, but wait until a note later. Also, look at your piece as a whole and work out where the climax is. If you take a big breath, i.e. silence, right before the climax, then you'll probably create an anti-climax. Say you have a long string of notes, I'm talking about the Bach partita, and you're not sure where to put that breath. Try and always put it in the same place in the bar, because then you're much more likely to be preserving the shape and length of the musical phrase. And the last thing is, don't forget to practice your breathings. Mark them in your score and really internalize them so it's automatic. This will also enable you to feel well how much air you should be taking in. Is it a short or a... So that was it, where to breathe. As always, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking on my face down here. Down here is the Team Recorder Patreon, where you can choose to support Team Recorder. Don't forget to follow me on Spotify and on Instagram. And up here is my introduction to the Telemann Fantasias. Thank you for watching and have a great day.